What's going on, everyone? My name is Nicholas Merton here at Data Dash, and today is October 14th of 2017. Well, folks, as you all know, here on the Data Dash channel, once a month, we sit back, relax, and talk about the general past month of price action, news, and everything crypto related. And today we have got a lot to talk about. This past month has been extreme. The last half of September and the beginning part of October has been pretty crazy, and it's almost been kind of a flip of tone as we were stepping into a very bearish market going towards the end of September with all the China FUD, with Jamie Dimon, all those things coming in. We have now entered into a bull market. We're very optimistic. We've got lots to talk about, talking about Bitcoin Gold, the price action of different cryptocurrencies, some different opportunities and trends we're seeing. So a lot to talk about. Let's go ahead and jump into it and not hesitate any longer. All right, so again, as I was saying at the intro, China fears have faded. The China funding's gone. As always, as we expected, it would pull back pretty drastically, and now we're back all to new highs. Bitcoin is now sitting around the $5,600 to $5,800 range. The official, I think, recorded high, it depends on the exchange, was a little bit over $5,800. So we have had a massive run up into Bitcoin, and this is due to the Bitcoin Gold hard fork that is coming in late October on the 25th. And we'll talk about that more as we go throughout the video. ICOs have flipped their tones as well as we've gone from bear to bull market. ICOs, which were originally kind of slowing down, right towards the end of September, got a lot of optimism coming back into them and a lot of funding. I think the biggest one was Altcoin that led to that funding. They raised a crap ton of money. But along with that, in October as well, we're seeing ICO funding go back up, and we're not even all the way through the month. So again, we might see a repetition of what we saw in September, at least half of what we saw in September, and that still would be big. But again, the ICO scene has become hot again. They're trending very well after their ICOs, and yeah, I mean, there's a lot of optimism in this space. Again, markets testing for new highs as crypto enters the third bull run of 2017. We are officially in bull run 3.0 of 2017. So, I mean, we are just continuing to see exponential price movement, and the momentum is continuing to build up, as we'll see when we look towards the price action. But again, crypto markets right now are about, I think, 1 or 2 billion away from breaking all new highs in overall valuation when you consider valuation of all cryptos. So this is a very big moment for crypto. Again, we are about to enter full phase three, the full phase of the third bull run in cryptocurrency. So it's an exciting time, and I think there's a lot to look forward to. Right now, I think we're sitting at about $178 billion valuation. In my opinion, with this bull run, and I'll continue to reiterate it, I think we're going to 250 billion. I think that's a decent level to look for overall valuations. All right, so let's go ahead and take a little bit of a market overview, look at some price action, and talk a little bit about what's going on with a few different players in the space. So Bitcoin has been killing it recently, taking a step back and doing a little bit of history as well with the price action. Really not that far away, but we've been talking about Bitcoin on Data Dash here for the past few months. We know we've been covering cryptocurrency in general for a few months, but the thing about Bitcoin is, we were calling around the 5,000 for resistance, and we got it. We got the first big sell-off candle, and then we had the continuation of the pullback going in through the end of September. And this was all due to China flooding, worry about Chinese regulation on exchanges, just the general kind of negativity on ICOs. And along with that, we had Jamie Dimon and all the JP Morgan FUD. And ironically enough, Bitcoin came down to one of the two levels we had called. We either said that Bitcoin would stop out around the 30, I think it was around this area right here when we started getting around this area, around 34 to 3,300, or it would go down to 3,000 at worst case scenario, down to previous resistance. And as we always say, previous resistance tends to become new support, and it did that. And right at 3,000, that big even number, ironically enough, JP Morgan and Chase and their subsidiaries bought a crap ton of Bitcoin. So, well, there you go. But again, it was all funding. We called for the fact that it was going to be funding. It wouldn't be substantial, and that Bitcoin would go to new highs eventually, and it has. Now, the reason why Bitcoin has started going up so exponentially is we can see we're maintaining much like the momentum we saw back after the first sell-off of 2017. We're seeing the momentum continue just as strong. Now, why is this? It's because we have another fork coming. We have Bitcoin Gold coming, a new cryptocurrency that is using the Bitcoin brand. And basically, if you want to know a summary of this, I've done some good videos talking about it if you want to get more in-depth knowledge of it. But if you're kind of new to the crypto space, Bitcoin Gold is a new forked currency off of Bitcoin, and it is going to be tailoring towards GPU miners. It's trying to kind of, as always, they're trying to kind of scale Bitcoin as well as decentralize the mining space. Bitcoin Gold is supposedly going to be a new currency that is going to support people like you and I who do not have huge ASIC, mining rigs. So again, it's GPU powered. The block time, or no, the difficulty for blocks are updated like pretty much instantaneously. So again, it's a very different approach than Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin itself originally. So again, there's a whole debate going on. I don't really know what to say about it because I'm not huge in the mining space. I think it's good in a sense, on a moral sense, to decentralize mining and make it much more reasonable for people to kind of have a stake in the Bitcoin name. However, at the same time, there is genuine concerns with it. There's a lot of skepticism going around it right now because there's a very small dev team. They haven't been very transparent about what Bitcoin Gold is, objectively as a currency, where it's at right now. Nothing substantial or visual that we can see. But again, it's kind of like Bitcoin Cash was. There's that just kind of like worry of like, is this actually going to be a legitimate currency? And seeing the negativity with Bitcoin Cash with the price action recently, it just, a lot of people are worried, whether or not Bitcoin Gold is even going to really take off and Bitcoin's just going to continue to rally on itself. I don't know about that, but I do know in the sense of price action what I think it's going to do. I think Bitcoin is probably going to test 6,000, and then it's going to probably have a cooldown it's probably anywhere from 6,000 to 7,000 going into the hard fork in October 25th. I think you'll see it anywhere in that price range. And what's going to happen is, as you all know, I have my objective target for a $250 billion market cap going into this bull run. What's going to happen, I think, is Bitcoin is going to continue to move up. It's going to continue to have FOMO going into this whole kind of free cash, in the sense of giving out Bitcoin Gold to Bitcoin holders. And then what's going to happen is October 25th is going to hit, the sell-off in Bitcoin is going to kick in, and altcoins are going to moon. It's just how forks work. It's exactly what happened during Bitcoin Cash when I told people not to sell their altcoins when it was down here. And then instantly we were up 20 or 25% on our altcoins back to normal. And in many cases, we made a lot of money. So again, that's what's going to happen. On the 25th, Bitcoin will sell off drastically, and then you will see people cashing out of their Bitcoin Gold and their Bitcoin and going over to buy altcoins. That's simply what's going to happen. So again, I think that Bitcoin's got a ways to go still, somewhere a little bit above the 6,000 range, and then you're going to have altcoins step in. So start accumulating, in my opinion, some of those altcoin positions. I think that there are a lot of cheap ones, and we'll cover some of this as we go through. Ethereum, comparative to Bitcoin, has been going down recently. It broke the descending triangle that we were talking about in our channel. People call me crazy for saying it, that comparative to Bitcoin, we'd see Ethereum go down to 500,000 Satoshi, or sorry, 5 million Satoshis, and it generally did during the price action. It went a little bit, didn't go all the way down to 5 million Satoshis. When I make a claim like that, you have to keep in mind too that I've made, I always tell you it's probably not going to go to the big even because there's a ton of buy orders probably at 5 million, much like there was at 6 million and at 7 million. So again, those big evens do play a big role, but we generally were relatively right on that. Ethereum, much like most altcoins, pulled back this week because Bitcoin was making it so none of them could keep up. Now, I'm not negative on Ethereum or anything. The USD valuation's fine. But again, it's not being able to keep up with Bitcoin. And that's what we're trying to measure. That's why we measure things in Satoshis. And I think that, Ethereum maybe down here could be a good pickup, but it's much better than buying it up here and everything like that. But I really wish this would have held on the 200-day when it had the opportunity. And I wish it would have broken through what was looking like a descending triangle and turned out to be one, and where they could have reversed it and actually, made Ethereum bullish. This just shows me that there's not as much optimism going into the fork for Ethereum. Then again, they're not giving out a free currency, like in the case of Bitcoin. But again, I think Byzantium is going to be good for Ethereum. I have no negativity towards Ethereum, but it just seems like a lot of the optimism that's been in the space for Ethereum has just kind of slowed down or died off. Again, we'll have to see though. Bitcoin Cash. I've told you all from the start, I'm not very optimistic on Bitcoin Cash. I don't think it did that outside of lower, I would assume, lower transaction fees. And then also, I think they have faster transaction times, not exactly sure. But again, Bitcoin Cash, to me, was a forked currency that I was never behind. I just never really liked it. This price action coming to the top here was all short term. It really was. I mean, it was a whole, it was had to do with the difficulty of the mining. The initial part of Bitcoin Cash had no miners, and because of that, the difficulty shot down. Now, it takes 2 weeks for the difficulty to update. And because of that, it gave this grace period where people were like, oh my God, like, let's get in this. And everyone switched over. You can go look at the charts of the mining, the individuals in the mining space hopping over to Bitcoin Cash. It was ridiculous. And it led to this huge spike. And now it's down to new lows. So again, do with it as you will. I don't like Bitcoin Cash. I think Bitcoin Gold will do much better if it is a true and honest fork. It seems more interesting to me. Getting people in the GPU space back into mining seems very interesting. All right, next up we have Ripple and Bitcoin. Ripple comparative to Bitcoin. Ripple has been holding relatively strong. Now, of course, we've had, the sell-off, of course, since the altcoin bubble was a little overextended, and then also Bitcoin, it's been hard to keep up with. Ripple, however, since we last talked about it, has been doing good. It's up since we last talked about it, and along with that, it's been maintaining relatively well against Bitcoin. It's been holding it against Bitcoin. So I think we could see Ripple do very well if it's showing these signs of optimism. Now, they've got a lot of things coming up, a lot of events where they have a lot of speakers, like Ben Bernanke, who I do not like too much, but they are going to have a lot going for them in the next few months. They've got massive corporate adoption. As you all know, I don't like banks. I don't like really I guess I wouldn't say I like this case because it supports banks. But Ripple itself, I mean, if you're looking for a trade opportunity, there's no denying it. It is one of the most adopted cryptocurrencies in any industry. Processing payments is a multi-trillion-dollar business as well, and banks are eating it up. Jamie Dimon, if you want, for example, even came out and said, like, look, he's like praise blockchain. He said, blockchain is used here by the banks and stuff. He just doesn't like Bitcoin because, well, it's the one thing that's going to kill the banks in the long term. But anyways, you've got this case right now where, in all seriousness, Ripple is going to do well. I do not currently hold any position in Ripple. I'm looking to add on it, though, potentially, if I can get the feeling to hold it. I personally I don't usually trade Ripple. I've traded it before. I have not invested in it. But I think Ripple, over the next course of the year, will get back up here. It will. It's going to be one of the better performing large caps, in my opinion. It's going to be around, I think, 10,000 Satoshis. But we'll have to see over time. And hopefully, if things go well with the events and everything, then that's what's going to lead it there. I don't know, though. I don't really care too much about the longevity of Ripple. But we'll have to see. Litecoin and Bitcoin. This is one that I think is going to be one of the better large cap plays as well. Litecoin itself has found yet again support at 1 million Satoshis, and it's back down on the low end. So it depends if we can really get above, I think, much like what we saw over here, the well-formed breakout above 1,200,000 Satoshis. That's what you want to look out for. But right now it's on the cheaper end. It's at a nice discount. So keep an eye on it. I think it's good at these levels. All right, so market consensus. Bitcoin has rallied due to FOMO for Bitcoin Gold, as we covered. Expect altcoins to dominate gains for the rest of the month. I mean, it's just obvious that, Bitcoin has kind of overextended itself, and a lot of that value is going to evaporate when that goes over to Bitcoin Gold. And then the original investments in Bitcoin are going to go back to altcoins, and altcoins will leap. It's set in stone. It's going to do exactly what it did with Bitcoin Cash, in my opinion. With Bitcoin Cash launching successfully, people see the fork not as a fear, but free money. Now, this is important compared to Bitcoin Cash. Whereas originally with Bitcoin Cash, it was like the big first fork for Bitcoin that really, got people fearful. But now that we went smoothly through it, I think people are anticipating Bitcoin Gold is going to go smooth just as well. And much like Bitcoin Cash, it is going to be an entirely new currency that's just given to you. And with how much optimism is going to Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash literally was free money. Even though its value is going down, it was free money. Bitcoin is at all new highs since they originally released Bitcoin Cash. So again, it's not a question of whether or not it's a good or bad thing. It's a question of, look, it's free money. Like that's really what it is right now. And that's what a lot of people are upset about. If they feel like it's printing a new currency. Of course, topic for another time and stuff, but I personally just think and stuff, that you're going to see the same correlation that you saw with Bitcoin Cash, where things flip instantly once it's distributed to holders. And the third part is altcoins are dirt cheap, and as Bitcoin leads, the others will follow even stronger. This has been proven through history of cryptocurrency that Bitcoin has started to lose its dominance. As you usually see, if you take a look back at the original altcoin bubble, Bitcoin had around 85 to 90% dominance control, came down to 45%. Now it's come up to 55%, and again, it's going to repeat the pattern over and over again. So keep your eye on some cheap altcoins. Trends in the space that we're going to talk about: supply chain management and Internet of Things on the blockchain. This has become a very big thing in the ICO space, and it's become one of the few industries that I'm getting a lot more optimistic on in general for blockchain in the long term. ICOs leap back with optimism, generating billions in new value for crypto. As we've been talking about, ICOs have been killing it recently, namely Chainlink, Walton Chain, VeChain, Cardano, I think I'm pronouncing it right, or ADA, I think is the symbol for it. There has been some massive ICO plays that have done fantastic over the past month. So we'll be talking about that more on the channel and stuff, trying to cover, the hot ICOs, which ones to, swing trade or invest in long term. Again, big topic. Altcoin leaders have been oversold, providing multiple opportunities. And we'll talk about that later on as we go through. All right, so supply chain management, Internet of Things. What is this? Now, I guess you all probably know generally what supply chain management is. This is the management of shipping things around the world. This could be for retail, for a variety of different industries for goods, and then also, managing of services, everything around the world, and being able to keep on top of it, maintain the data, know where things are at a given time. And then the Internet of Things as well is managing quality assurance, and then also information and data about certain things, weather control, damage control on certain products, where a certain thing is at a certain given time. I mean, there's a lot of information that is kind of tied towards the Internet of Things. It's data tracking. It's making that information, readable through hardware, through RFID, which is what Walton Chain is doing. So there's all kinds of information that is now going to be pushed onto the blockchain, because blockchain is becoming much more efficient at data distribution, storing it encrypted, distributing across the blockchain in a secure way, so your information is secure. And then also, we're building a lot of these enterprise solutions like VeChain and Walton on top of this blockchain core technology, and using things like RFID technology to track all of this information. To me, it's something I've seen as a potential candidate for blockchain for quite some time. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't catch on to Walton, and I didn't know much about VeChain as well, and I missed out on them. I'm not going to claim oh, you guys didn't get in on that, I said it, No, I really didn't. I was definitely a miss out on these two. And I'm not investing in them right now, but I'm definitely considering to open up a Binance account so I can invest in some of these Chinese ICOs. They have actual corporate adoption. They're going through stages right now where they're working with actual partners out there. So again, it interests me. It really does. It's a space that I think will absolutely be sustainable in blockchain, but it's just going to take time, and it's going to take adoption just like anything else. But it's one of the few that, it's like something on the blockchain that I actually feel relatively optimistic on. There's a dozen industries a day that get put onto the blockchain, but this is something that actually will sustain itself in the long term. Is Walton and VeChain, are they the candidates that are going to make it? I don't know. We'll have to see. Again, going back to the topic of ICOs were originally taking a break. I guess my title's wrong on that. They originally were taking a break. However, they came back in late October with the highest month of funding, September, due to the Filecoin ICO. And then we've also had a pretty strong month. So we're continuing the uptrend of ICOs. It's not dying out. We have some quiet months, but it's when we get those big projects coming in that really knock up the amount of money raised. Not to mention, the valuations of the ICOs are going up after their ICOs. A lot of them are killing it. The smaller ones usually kind of have been, not doing too well for the most part. But these big ones that come out to market like Cardano have killed it. They've absolutely just crushed their original expectations. The third part in the sense of trends is altcoin leaders are oversold. Now these are just a few examples. There are dozens out there that I could list out right now. These are some of my favorites that I'm watching. Monero in the privacy space, comparative to Bitcoin, down 44%. We have Omise Go down 50% from its highs. Last time we covered it, not even at its highs. Omise Go down 50% comparative to Bitcoin since we last talked about it. Pay down 44% since we last talked about it on the data recall. And then ARC down 55% since last time we talked in the data recall. So there's a lot of these leaders that are massively down since we last talked on this series, and I think they're good candidates. Now, as you all know, I have a good position in ARK. It's I recently announced it's my third largest position in altcoins. And as you all know, I'm optimistic on all of these coins on here. However, I'm looking to primarily build positions first and foremost in Monero and in Omise Go. So I'm going to start adding to these positions soon. Just letting you all know, I do not have positions in them right now, but I am looking to add to adding those onto my portfolio. 10x as well is looking like it's a good project to buy at these levels, but again, I think we could possibly see some more downside with it. It's been losing its optimism. We can't keep up with Bitcoin right now. There's not enough news in the space, but look for that to drop maybe a little bit more and possibly add that as well. But these are just candidates that I'm watching for. Keep your eye on all your favorite altcoins. There's so many in the space right now, whether they're small caps, mid caps, or large caps, comparative to Bitcoin, that are way oversold. And when the hard fork goes through, you're going to want to be in your favorite holdings and benefit from the altcoin leap. That's what I'm doing. I'm not holding much Bitcoin going into the hard fork. I'm holding my Bitcoin that I always am going to hold, and then I'm going to have my altcoins that are going to leap up even higher than the gains that Bitcoin has experienced during this bull run. All right, so the star of the month. I know this seems kind of odd. It's not an individual. As you all know, the star of the month is the kind of idiocracy of cryptocurrency. It's either someone who makes a fool of themselves. Last month it was Jamie Dimon. This month it is going to be a topic, and we are talking about it to a large extent. I'm not going to talk about it too much in this video. We are talking about BitConnect. This scam, this Ponzi scheme, has continued to grow over the past few months, and we are doing a follow-up video. Oh, we are doing some deep, heavy research on this, folks. BitConnect needs to be exposed, and we are going to do a full analysis on this. The people who are involved in promoting BitConnect. I've been getting tons of advertisements for BitConnect on my videos, which has been ticking me off to no avail, and I am ready to just go full-blown exposing on BitConnect. You will see me go through a full analysis. I will not be biased. I will be going deep into it and really talking about what BitConnect does to make the supposed gains for its users that it does, okay? So as you already know, I'm negative on BitConnect. You can probably tell right now, but I'm going to be doing a full analysis on it. It's going to be a pretty long video, but I hope you all will enjoy it, and I hope you all will stay tuned to it. All right, so next up, on a more positive note, as I was saying, we are going towards new highs in market valuation. We are looking to go towards the third bull run. And the thing to keep in mind, too, a lot of people are like, but Nick, it's already like, you know, if it's testing new highs, isn't it time to sell? Not exactly. The reason why is because we don't call, for example, when a cryptocurrency has tested the previous highs and stuff, it's not like the sell-off highs. The new highs are like when it's well extended from the previous bull run. So for example, we had the breakout above new highs over here, and then we had new highs going towards higher prices. And then we had the pullback here, much like we had over here. And we're finally just getting above this valuation almost. I think we're going to do it in the next day or so. And once that happens, we've got a whole nother bit of uptrend to go. And I think, as I've said, we're going to go to $250 billion. That's my opinion. Again, it's not solidified advice or anything like that, but I think that's where we're going, in the sense of strategy. So we'll have to watch. I think there's a lot of optimism coming into it, guys. Whether or not Bitcoin Gold does well, I think altcoins are oversold. There's a lot of innovation in the ICO space, a lot of optimism, and we'll have to see how it all goes. So, buys for the month. Again, not official recommendations, just personally what I'm looking to do. You're welcome to research into these coins and decide for yourself. However, these are coins that I'm looking at in the large cap space. I've decided to cut it down to one coin in the large cap space because there's only 5 large caps. That's how I measure large caps, the top 5. Ripple, I think, is going to perform the best out of all of them. If you wanted a secondary favorite that I'm interested in, I would say Litecoin. And then we have mid caps, which are ARK, Omise Go, and Neo. I think those are going to be great players. I would say the next place in that mid cap space would be Monero. I just didn't have it on there. I think Neo will outperform Monero in my opinion, but I think they're all 4 great mid caps in my opinion. Small caps as well. I've mentioned these in the live stream a lot last night. I think Substratum is going to kill it with its Binance listing. I think it's going right now through the ICO reversal. I think Neblio is going to be awesome. I'm currently staking my Neblio. I have a nice long-term position. I'm not trading. I'm holding for the long run. I think it's going to be a great competitor comparative to Stratus, which is dying off. And then Vertcoin is also a good one with the one-click miner coming soon. and it being GPU based, much like with the theme with Bitcoin Gold, I think you're going to see a respark in this space. And I think that with the one-click miner, it's going to make adoption of mining easy, and it's going to get a lot of people into the Vertcoin brand. Well, everyone, that's it for the data recall. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I'm glad you all stayed through it. If you're watching me right now, that means you watched the entire video. And it seems like you all really enjoy these videos, so I don't mind putting the bit of extra effort into these videos because I like talking with you all, recapping and kind of getting an overall picture. After all, I promote long-term investing rather than trading, and this is a great type of video and material to help get you into that kind of long-term mindset rather than, God, what did the headline read today, you know? So I want to keep you all in the know, share as much as I can with you all. But until then, everyone, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Stay tuned.